He's here in the Morning Roast to talk about it. Brian Dawkins, good morning. You're on the Morning Roast here on 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. Joe Shasky, the Butcher, Bonta Hill. Good morning to you. And just kind of talk about this book right off the bat, man. It is fascinating, some of the things I've read so far.
No, man, thank you for having me, first of all. It is a blessing to be able to write something. I never thought I would have author next to my name. That's to get that off the jump right now. Never thought this would be the case, but I felt led to write this. I felt led to write this because you have so many people that see the success that I've had on the football field, and they think that life has always been this bed of roses, right? It's far from the case.
Right.
And so there's different things that I've had to maneuver through, work through, and I always say grow through. See, I've grown through a lot, all of the experiences in my life. And through those growing processes, I've learned a whole lot of things that have allowed me to be the man that I am today, right, with the mindset that I have. And Blessed by the Best speaks to the fact of God has blessed me, blessed us with the right people and the right situations, to be honest with you, to bring out of us the thing that is deep inside of us. So it's not a football book. There is some football in it,
right,
but it's a lot of things that you to think about, even for yourself. When you read it, to think about where you are, the situations you've gone through. How can I grow through them? How can I see my past, reframe it as the terms are today? How can I reframe my past to be a blessing for me in my present, so I can then go out and have an outstanding future?
Yeah, Brian Dawkins with us. Blessed by the Best is the name of the book. 50% of the proceeds received from Brian's book are going to be pledged to the Brian Dawkins Impact Foundation to help support mental wellness, financial literacy, and financial assistance programs. I'm glad that you're doing this and showing this vulnerability. I mean, you were a gladiator. When I think of guys from that era that were football gladiators, you're one of the top people that I think of. And the fact that you're showing this vulnerability when it comes to mental wellness and addiction and all the different things that you're speaking to, every person in our audience has someone in their life or themselves that is going through this. And I appreciate you bringing this to the forefront and having these conversations. Take us back to kind of the lowest moment, though. I mean, how did you find help and support in an era when we really didn't understand how to diagnose this and how to talk about this?
Yeah, and this is when having the best blessed people around me at that time. And at that time, it was my defensive back coach, Emmett Thomas, who's also a Hall of Famer, and my Hall of Fame wife, Connie, as I call her.
Right.
Like, they basically grabbed my hand after one episode, this last episode of me being so full up with rage and, after an argument over a small thing and ran my head through a wall. Like, they took me and said, no, you're going to get help. And I did. And I finally went to talk about the things that I had not talked to anyone about for all of my life. So you got to think about it as a pot on a stove, and you have a lid over it. You turn the heat up, and that pressure builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until all of a sudden it just explodes on whoever's in front of it. And so I had to begin to do things from a different place, and talking was getting that anxiety off. It was bringing my emotions down. I took medication for a little while, too. This is in the book. I took medication for a little while as well. Mm-hmm. And what that did is that brought down my emotions so that I can hear from a spiritual perspective some of the things that I need to do and some of the things I need to stop doing. Right. And so that's why I've developed now, from that dark, tough place, I've developed a strategy and a discipline that I do every day of my life now, right? Every day. I pray, I read, I meditate, and I journal every morning. And I'm just giving you the morning. There's other things that I do throughout the day, but I'm just giving you my morning routine so that it empowers me to attack the day. And so this is what I developed right after I went through that thing, right after that. And these are the things that now empower me from a mental, I call it cerebral wellness. I don't call it mental health. There's still so much negative connotations to it. I call it my cerebral wellness.
I like that. I like that a lot. Next Thursday, all 280 radio stations at Odyssey, including ours, will be airing a show from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. focused on awareness of mental health. The show is called I'm Listening, and it's interviews with big-name celebrities, musicians, and athletes that suffer or have dealt with mental health issues. Brian Dawkins here, the Hall of Famer. on the Morning Roast with Joe Shasky, the Butcher, and Bonta Hill on 95.7 The Game, talking about his book, Blessed by the Best. And 50% of the proceeds received by Brian from the book sales will be pledged to the Brian Dawkins Impact Foundation to help support mental wellness, financial literacy, and family assistance programs. Now, you talked about getting out of the struggle, getting out of the darkness here. Tell me how important it is to talk to people during the times of the struggle.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Glad you mentioned that. So I have 4 people in my life now. I call them my blessed pack. My blessed pack. There are 4 cats that I can call at any given time if I'm going through something, and I can shoot them a text. Hey, you got 5 minutes? You got 10 minutes? Can you talk? Or, dog, just pray for me. Pray for your boy. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. I know that at some point we're going to talk. They're going to listen. They're not going to judge, and we're going to pray afterwards. So that's a freeing thing. That literally lets me know, even though I know from a vertical relationship standpoint, I'm never alone. But now from a horizontal standpoint, I always have a community, right? I always have a community of brothers, my blessed pack, that I can reach out to and spit some truth with, some nitty-gritty truth if I need to. And that's empowering because, once again, in that place that I was, my rookie year, I had nobody because I chose to have nobody because I chose to talk to nobody. But now I have these somebodies that bless me. Even though I don't necessarily need to talk to them, it's a blessing to know they're there.
Wow, that's really powerful. And, Brian, I did a little research on you, and I realized that Ronnie Lott was one of the people that inspired you. Now, Ronnie's come on these airwaves and talked about some of the struggles that he's had in his own life. And I find it just to be very admirable that you guys would come out. I mean, you guys are like 2 of the hardest dudes that I can think of in terms of toughness and grit and just style of play and everything. And to have you guys kind of stand up and say, no, man, this stuff is really affecting us. I think that it's just so powerful. Do you and Ronnie, I mean, obviously you've emulated his style of play, but have you had a chance to talk to him away from football about this kind of stuff?
A little bit, not about this though. I've talked to him about other things, but not necessarily about this. And you're right, I did. A lot of my game I modeled. What I modeled after Ron was his ability to affect the game in every statistical category, not just interceptions, not just big hits. The dude could cover. He was, if I'm not mistaken, he was a all pro in the corner.
Yes.
Yep.
Strong safety and free safety. Mm-hmm. I think the only
all 4 spots.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So he can do all things on the field. So he was literally, even back then, they didn't use him like Jim used me. So he would probably have more sacks than he did. But if he was given that opportunity. But my point is that he was a true game changer in every statistical category, not just deep middle, not just big hits. And he was a phenomenal leader, phenomenal leader. So, again, I model a lot of what I did, how I went about approaching the game of football, being a student of the game, of affecting the game in every statistical category. That really came from watching that dude, from admiring that dude. And to your point about talking about, so here's the thing about professional athletes, all right? A professional athlete is no different. And I always tell younger fans this, I'm no different than your dad. I just can run faster, jump higher, hit harder, right? I'm more athletic. But we still go through stuff. We still have life hitting us in the gut. We still have to deal with emotions, learning how to control, which we can. We can control our emotions, learning how to control our emotions, learning how to breathe, learning how to meditate. This is me going down a different path now and me talking. Me learning about all of these things that I can do so that I can be the best that I can be at any given moment in any area, whether that be on the field, whether that be in a meeting, whether that be being a father, right? Being the best that I can be. That's in this book, right? That's in this book.
Wow. Brian Dawkins here on the Morning Roast, Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins. Get his book, Blessed by the Best, available now at briandawkins.com, including autographed copies. 50% of the net proceeds received by Brian from the book sales will be pledged to the Brian Dawkins Impact Foundation to help support mental wellness, financial literacy, and family assistance programs, or cerebral wellness. Cerebral wellness, as Brian Dawkins says. There he is. That's what I'm going to say there. you talk about that, right? All the mental health and everybody talks about. Talk about the pressure of satisfying a fan base like the one in Philadelphia as a professional athlete. How much did that affect the mentals?
Here's the thing, not at all.
Really?
Not at all. When you read the book, you'll see why my mindset is the way it is. See, growing up, because I was never necessarily given anything, I always had to earn everything. And like I said in my Hall of Fame speech, the majority of the success that I've had in my life has come on the back end of pain. So I've always had to grind to get it, to work harder, to outwork the person in front of me, to never just expect things to be given to me. That's not how success has come to me, right? Mm-hmm. So now I step into Philadelphia. I'm not expecting them to cheer for me. I'm not. I have to earn the right for them to not the right. I've had to earn that cheer. Mm-hmm. So it was my responsibility and my thought that I got to do something to have this people cheering for me. Right? So I got to earn that respect. I don't just expect it because I've signed my name on a contract. No, I got to earn it. And then here's the other thing. What I expected of myself was higher than what they expected of me. Wow. So if they did boo me for whatever reason, I'm like, probably on the field, I'm like shaking my head like, yep, I deserve it. Because I stunk up a couple of series in a row. But that's not going to happen again, because again, my vision, or excuse me, when I watched film, I was brutally honest about what I saw on film.
Yeah.
So sometimes they would be seeing something, a mistake, or the media would see a mistake that I made, but you didn't see the other three that I made that I'm extremely hard on myself with. So because of that, like it never bothered me in the least, and I didn't even worry about any booing coming my way.
Yeah.
Because like I said, if you did, it would be that one time, because I'm not going to do something stupid the next time.
Mm-hmm. So, Brian, I mean, there's no way to transition after how powerful this conversation has been, but I'm going to try to have a little fun here with you toward the end, because, like, honestly, you're preaching, and I'm listening. I'm in the front row here just soaking it all up. What are the Niners getting themselves into? When I think of the Philadelphia Eagles and their crazy fan base and the link, I think of you coming out and that fan base going absolutely nuts. We've been going through a pandemic. There hasn't been a full stadium. They're going to be ready to go on Sunday. What the hell are the San Francisco 49ers getting themselves into this Sunday when they go to Philadelphia?
Oh, it's going to be crunk now. Like it's gonna be crunk.
I like that.
It's gonna be a lot of energy in the stadium. Like you said, and this is all of us, right? The world, right? Mm-hmm. This is the first time coming back and having the stadium filled back up to capacity. So that's going to be energy in itself. The players on the field being back in front of the crowd, in front of the home stadium, that's going to be energy in itself. But then it's going to come down to execution. So the energy and all of that emotion, I love it. Don't get me wrong, because I was an emotional dude. You guys know that. That's how I came on the field. But here's the thing. After all of the warm-ups and after all that energy was given out then, I knew I had to go execute. So now it comes down to execution. Now, I still can execute with passion. I can execute with energy. But the key is I got to execute. So it then goes to whatever team comes out and they execute the game plan to perfection, they'll have success. And they'll win the ball game.
Brian Dawkins here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game, Pro Football Hall of Famer, former Eagle, former Bronco. I got to ask you, because you talked about coming out the tunnel, and our boss, Matt Nahegan, sent us a text. He used to come out on the tunnel, crawling on the field and getting all fired up. And I said, Matt, we watch Eagles games here on the West Coast. We know who Brian Dawkins is. But from afar, we watched you, and we watched all those NFL film sound bites where you would tell your fellow teammates, I want to see snot bubbles today. I want to see you knock the snot out of people today. I mean, you talked about idolizing Ronnie Lott, but that passion, not too many people have that passion. And I always wonder about guys like you, Ronnie, John Lynch, Steve Atwater. Could you play in today's game? Could you really play in today's game?
Of course he could.
I know, but Brian Dawkins,
what kind of question is that?
No, I know you could adjust.
You're a Hall of Famer.
That impact that you had by not, there was no wide receivers who wanted to run quick slants when you're on the field, patrolling the box.
And there still wouldn't be if I played today. I'm just being honest with you. I would probably get fired. but I got fined when I was playing, even back then. So the thing about it is I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And there's going to be certain territories that needs to be owned by the defense.
Right.
So fear has to play a part in playing defense. There's so many rules and so many regulations about what we as a defense can't do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, B-Dog. That's what I'm saying.
One of the things that you have to keep in there is that aggressive snot bubble. I call it laying that unadulterated stank on folk. That's what I call it. Right? That has to exist. In whatever era there is, it has to exist. So you have to adjust. You have to adjust your target. You have to bend your knees more, and you have to hit lower. But you can hit low and still have a impact in that area that you strike. That's what I call it. When you strike a person, when you strike them right, I don't care if you hit them high or low, they're going to feel something. And that's the thing about it. If I can make you feel something, now you're going to be thinking about that pain that you had the last time you came through here.
Yeah.
So you're probably not going to come quite as hard the next time. And I might can get a tip or interception because of it.
And we're right up against the break. Who's the guy in the league right now Brian Dawkins has to watch play defense?
Oh, wow. It's a couple of them. Aaron Donald. Love watching him snap out the snap. Love watching Minka Fitzpatrick out there.
That's a good one.
Love watching Mr. Adams, Maul. Love watching him play. Fletcher Cox. Love watching him when he does his thing. It's a lot. It's a bunch of guys that I love to watch play the game of football here today.
And B-Doc, we loved watching you play.
Yeah, great
Even
interview.
from out here in San
Jalen
Francisco.
Ramsey is another one. Because I love the way they're using him now. The versatility of that dude to move inside and outside, to play all over the field. I love that. Once again, I love that chess piece.
Yeah.
I love a chess piece player.
He plays safety at Florida State, too. Won the national championship as a free safety, Jalen Ramsey, that is. But, B-Doc, we love watching you play.
I'm getting the book.
And we're going to love diving into your book, Blessed by the Best, available right now at BrianDawkins.com. 50% of the net proceeds received by Brian from the book sales will be pledged to the Brian Dawkins Impact Foundation to help support mental wellness, financial literacy, and family assistance programs. Also, next Thursday on all 280 radio stations at Odyssey, including ours, we'll be airing a show from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. focused on awareness of mental health. The show is called I'm Listening, and it's interviews with big-name celebrities,